friends need to come in contact and be infected by this outbreak. I believe Destin Assembly and Independent and this community church needs to be infected with the outbreak. Oh, when you begin to study stats, and I like to take time in different seasons and look at what the trend is in the church. This is very startling because George Gallup said North America is the only continent where Christianity is not growing. There's been a 5 million member decline in churches in North America. George Barna, who is a master statistician who keeps stats in the church world, he is what the major denominations, and even you will see some of his stats that is being used even in some of the secular news, because he is so right on and in touch with what's going on in our society. George Barna recently said half of all churches last year did not add one new member through conversion growth. I want you to think about that. Half of all the churches in America last year did not see one bit of growth because of a new convert. The Barna Research Group released the following statistics: that there are about 300 million people in the United States. 25% of the population has been invited to church. 15%, that is 34 million of those who have not been invited, said that they would if they were asked. 65%, or 146 million, listen, 146 unchurched people said that they would go to church if invited by a friend. These are hard stats, and they are factual. But can I tell you what we have done as Christians and as religious people? We will not go to someone's house just to check on them because they may have alcohol in the refrigerator. Ooh, no, I ain't doing that. No, sir. We want fellowship. We won't even befriend somebody that is unsaved. Because it's going to mess our testimony up. It's going to hurt us. Brother, you better have a closer relationship with God than that. Yeah. How are we going to impact a harvest? Now, I'm not saying being in the world, being like the world. I'm saying we are in the world. We cannot do nothing about it. You're in the world. I'm not going to be like the world, but I have to be in the world. And there are unsaved people you will work with. You will come in contact with. And if we shut them out because they're not where we're at, or we shut our children out or our family out because they are not saved, how are they going to hear? I walk through this church, I have been amazed the facility that is here. I'm just absolutely amazed. You guys got facilities that Destin Assembly dreams of having. You've got everything there is. And I know your pastor is not after hundreds and hundreds of church folks. And he doesn't need to be. He's after hundreds and hundreds of lost people. And that's how you want the church to grow. Somebody say amen. But if we keep the mindset, I'm just going to tell you how I was raised. I was raised old school holiness church. Old school. That if you smiled, you're sinning. That's how I was raised. If you had fun, if you're smiling about something, bless God, well, you must have committed sin. Let's pray you through. And we isolated ourselves. And that's what too many religious church folk are doing. We have isolated ourselves. I'm not telling you to go drink with them or be like them. Absolutely not. But I'm telling you, there was a man whose name was Jesus, who was a friend of the sinners. He didn't toss them aside. Brother, he had a relationship with them. He had relationship with them. And because he had relationship with them, brother, he can connect to them like nobody else could. Oh, Jesus, help us. Now understand this. Again, 146 million unchurched people said that they would go to church if invited by a friend. There is a world out there that needs to be infected by the outbreak of Jesus Christ. But the problem is infections have crept into the church and it's having a crippling effect. The church needs an outbreak. But before before this outbreak can come, you and I, we've got to deal with the infections that have crippled us for so many years. Every one of us knows how disease works. We get an infection, we get sick, and what happens? It begins to spread throughout our body, but it also spreads to others if we are not careful. In fact, as I just said, in our home, if one person gets sick, chances are all of us are going to get it. But as Christians, somebody say Christians. As Christians, somebody say Christians. You and I today are supposed to be carriers. We are supposed to be carriers. We are supposed to be contagious with things like joy, with things like peace, with things like love. Those things are supposed to change us and come into us so that we pass them on and we infect everyone around us. Can somebody say amen? I want to talk to you real quick about 4 viruses. The very first